Meet you. Hi.
Same here. I met you in the, what do you call that? Conversation.
Yeah. So
Into
good
the
evening to
dialogue.
all of you who are in India. Good afternoon to Goldie and whoever is outside India, wherever you are, greetings for the day. So here we have Deepa and yeah, we can do the initial greeting, all of that for a few minutes and then I'll hand it over to Deepa.
Thank you, Sri. It felt like you are having a tough time with us to control us.
Yes, I did.
Neha to tell me shut up.
I didn't.
Hi Sunil. Hi Sangeeta. Hi Rolly. Rolly, I'm not met you for ages.
Along with Sri, I seems to be in minority.
Yeah.
Aditya now.
My cohorts are always minority only. We.
Enjoy being the Krishna.
So my next cohort is starting tomorrow.
Oh.
5 women.
MCC. Oh, tomorrow.
5 women and Sri. That's very common.
That's Krishna.
That's how we started the first cohort.
So first cohort, we have 4 women, no?
Right.
Yeah.
Mahrukh is missing. All the others are here.
Yeah.
Mahrukh is traveling. Otherwise, I think he should have been here. Yeah, whoever can come on video, please come on video. We would like to see you. Yeah. Deepa, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, Aditya.
He's on the road. Rolly's on the road too.
Okay. So, I'm wondering how to start. Okay, I want to share how I met Theory. This was, I think, in 2016 when I was working for the Aditya Birla Group, and I was volunteering for a company, for a society called Society for Organizational Learning, which is Peter Senge's organization or institution. And Peter Senge has been my favorite, I don't know, since 2003, 2004. His fifth discipline, and especially personal mastery, team learning, all of them mostly, except systemic thinking, was something I was very, very passionate about. And personal mastery was something I would swear by. Every 6 months, I would do my personal mastery and process, etc. And while I was a part of that institution, I got to know about Dr. Sharma through the members of that committee. And I was a secretary. I was a volunteer secretary there. So they said that Otto was doing his workshop in Boston for 5 days. And I don't remember the name, it's something on leadership. It was called something on leadership. And would you want to go, is what I was asked. It was part funded, and most of it I had to fund, and I had to go. I actually didn't know who Otto was, what he was, etc. But it felt like, okay, I'm generally the thing that if I get to travel, I go. So I said, okay, let's go, and learning to hoga hi, it'll happen. That's how I landed in Boston to meet and attend. It was an eye opener for me, first of all, to have met 150 people from, I don't know, 40, 50 nationalities. I don't even know. So and we were 3 Indians, and everybody, it was a huge gathering. And the key characteristic were 2 things. Okay, I was attracted to, not Otto, but Aravana. So Aravana is an embodiment. She's into embodiment. So everything that gets done, she would embody. She would enable us to embody. That was my love, because for me everything is an experience. It is not so much a concept. And why I'm sharing this is because what I experienced there was 5 days of experiential. Some here and there theory was there. So when she asked me to do this today, I've had to look at my experience of those 5 days, my experience of implementing it, and then looking at the theory and sharing that. So it may not be comprehensive, all inclusive. It is really about what I have digested and what I wish to present to you. If you have any questions in the process and you ask, maybe I'll share more about it if it's not already in the slide. So it may not be everything, but it's still something to get started with, is how I see it. Yeah, it is experiential. I'm not sure how much of experiential we can do because it takes a long time. So to some extent, I will lead some experiential, but largely it has to be like, then you go back and if you have any questions, then we can discuss again. So any questions before I begin?
Sorry, I'm coming from complete ignorance. What is theory U?
Yeah, that's the whole 1.5
Oh,
hours.
okay, because it seems like there are people here who are more aware, but I'm not at
Yeah,
all. So I'm
That's
coming from the
that's
learner
fine.
mindset. Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Point of view. Okay, so just to get into what is theory U. Theory U is a concept which was born. I mean, Otto Scharmer birthed this concept, and I think he shared about it also, and I've read about it also, that his work emerged actually. He's actually a senior lecturer in MIT, and when he was doing action research at MIT, he was exploring a key question. Why do leaders and change makers fail to bring about changes they genuinely want to see? This was his research question or hypothesis. And what he observed in that process of action research is that most change efforts focused on external systems and technical solutions. Yeah. But they ignored the internal condition of the leader or the team who was initiating the change. So it was more an outer process and not an inner process. And that is what led him to explore deeper into what really happens to a leader or to a team when they start a process. Yeah. And that he depicted it as a U. Theory U is basically a U, and there is a theory to it. So simply put, that is what is theory. And so he said that what is the process where the leader can start from the outer, go into the inner, and then go to the outer. So it's an outer, inner, outer, a changed outer process. Yeah. So that is what he then coined it as theory. And when I was experiencing it, I felt it bases itself on the work that Peter Senge has done already in the field of organization development. And he also worked with Peter Senge and then formulated theory U. The other tidbit that I understood is that Otto Scharmer has got connection with anthroposophy. And he has coined this theory U based on the head, heart, and hands concept, which comes from anthroposophy, which is Dr. Rudolf Steiner's work. And so many connections I found when I experienced that, but primarily it's a framework used for change and transformation. So it can be used for individuals, it can be used for teams, and it can be used for organizations. Okay, and my primary goal has been to use it in individuals. So my practice is in using it for individuals, self and others. And I have done group workshops based on it, but the beneficiary is still the individual. It may have been a group process, but the beneficiary still remains the individual. And what is so amazing about it is that it is a path. It's a step-by-step path to allow a deeper knowing. When you have a client in front of you, you say, I sense this. Before, the leaders would not be able to access that sense. But he said there is a process that a leader can go through to be able to access that inner sense, that inner stillness for a deep outer impact. So it's a process, he says, of slowing down, of deep listening, of sensing, co-creating, prototyping, and bringing something new out in the world. And he is a co-founder of Presencing Institute. So his institute and the body of work that he does is under Presencing Institute. So when I went for the course there, it was organized by the Presencing Institute. Yeah. So now there is a process to it. So this is just the outer of what it is. He looks as handsome as he is in this picture, extremely fit and handsome. So we've heard this proverb or saying that we cannot solve problems with the same level of consciousness that created those problems. And Otto Scharmer exactly nails that. He talks about awareness and consciousness as a entry point to be able to enable transformation, which is exactly what we do in our facilitation and in our coaching process. So he works with awareness, he works with consciousness, which not two leaders work with that. Even in our work, how many of them really want to be on the surface and how many want to do transformational coaching? It's the same concept. So he says that there are two types of systems. One is the ecosystem. The ecosystem works on banking on what I already know. So reacting based on past, reacting based on what I already know. ये system में this only works. ये system में यही चलता है. Or my boss is like that only. So from what I already know. And why I bank on that? Because I have control over things. If I don't know, then I don't have control. So I am more worried about how can I maintain my ego and manage my ego. And obviously the focus is on short-term fixes. But when we use the theory U, there is a possibility of a shift from ecosystem to an ecosystem, which is actually what he's talking about as the shift of consciousness. It's like two bubbles. One bubble it is the ecosystem. I work with what I already know.
Deepa, just hold on. We are able to see all of it. Can you just project only the slideshow?
What do you mean all of it?
I can see your slide and I can see your next slide also.
Okay, 1 minute. How to not show that? I don't know.
No, you already showed that. I don't know why it changed again.
I don't know. Now?
Slideshow. Are you on slideshow?
Yeah.
But why are we seeing all of it?
I don't know. Actually. Okay. Let me get out of it and do it again.
Yeah, Deepa, another way is sometimes is when you exit the slide show and just show the PPT and we can also not see
Now?
the,
Ah,
yeah, this is,
Now?
Now better.
Is it
Now
better?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I just exited and came back again. I don't know.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is right. Yeah. You must have been on presenter view. That's it.
I was on
Correct.
presenter.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's better, no? So what you see, the shift from ecosystem to an ecosystem is that you don't react from the past, but you respond from what wants to come to you. So literally, if you see it, this is ego system and ecosystem is what wants to come to you. So you're going towards what wants to come to you, vis-a-vis what already is with you and you're working on that. So it's a forward mechanism and therefore new can be created. It's a co-creation and newness can happen. And you listen, the field of listening is not just self. The field of listening is self, team, and everything that is present in the energy field. So it is more about listening from the energy field than just listening to your own inner. Yeah. And therefore, there's a possibility of it creating a long-term transformation. So normally, when we begin our journey, when I began my journey also, I was in the ecosystem. But when I experienced this process, so much changed for me in those 5 days that I understood, not that I could immediately practice it, because practicing took me years of coming from the ecosystem. But what happens as a possibility that I drop the ecosystem, or at least I'm aware that the ecosystem is coming and I'm operating from the field of presence or the energy field. Okay. So this is my existing energy field, and here I am sensing from the larger field. So a larger field is available to me for me to co-create. So newness is possible. Yeah. So to begin, what I want to ask you is that what is my intention to be here in this masterclass? If you could share one word or phrase. We are 13 of us. If you could share, what's my intention to be here? Expansion.
Hi, just say that again, please. Sorry, your voice got a little lost.
Okay, I just presented.
I
What is
also
my
responded,
intention?
Deepa.
Yeah, sorry. What is my intention to be here in this masterclass? Could be one word or one phrase.
I
You can
wrote Deepa.
unmute. Yeah, just see, sorry. Wow, learn, expansion, learning, discovery, to reconnect and deepen my understanding. Engage. I hope all of you are reading.
She's here for you only.
Oh, you okay? You were joking.
I knew you were going to bring something on the table, which is normal. So I'm like, that's the intention.
Hi, Maru.
Hi, Shrikant.
Hi,
How are you?
Maru.
Hi, hi.
Hi, Maru.
Hi, Deepa.
Hi, Maru.
Sudha.
That was me.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Sudha. I'm on my phone and I'm majorly sleepy, so please forgive me.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
So,
got back from my holiday, so apologies.
no, that's fine. That's fine. So, as you share, what do you want? As you read, everybody sharing. My next question to you is, as I listen to others, I am sensing or feeling dash. What am I feeling and sensing? Curiosity, opportunity, happy, curiosity, anticipation, curiosity, ease, comes, belonging, so from the time you came in and shared your reason to be here, and then when you shared what you sense from others as you're feeling, did you observe any shift? And if yes, then what shift did you observe of consciousness? You can unmute and share as well.
I'm going to say, so what I'm picking up is the collective energy or sharing of a group. And if you're able to hone into that, has a deeper level impact on your own need and desire for what is needed, in the room. And I'm that's what I'm sensing. So my consciousness was obviously completely from the unknown, because that, as I shared from the very beginning. And yes, there is something much more deeper to understand here, which did lead me to a bit of fear. Not fear, but it's like, am I really going to get this? But as I hear people sharing and obviously coming from a genuine of what I feel, it's bringing about a whole different energy. in the room. I don't know if I've made myself clear.
Very, very clear. So can you see that you came in from one bubble and there you said, I don't know, and a little bit of fear, to what you wrote, you shifted to the other bubble, which is curiosity, which is a little more open than what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what he says.
Yeah, so I can completely sense it. I wasn't joking when I said my only intention was you, because I just knew I would get to meet you. But that is just a drop in the ocean. But suddenly when I saw everybody else's responses, I'm like, okay, this can mean so much more. And of course, I was listening into you even when you were speaking about Theory U. Now I'm like, there's a framework. There's so much learning here. Now it's unlimited. Like now I don't know what else am I going to find out in this session.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So from Deepa to, I don't know what all can use. Yeah. Wow. That's so much expansion. Yeah. Sunita. Hi, Sunita. There's an expansion, a sense of calm and belonging.
Hi, Deepa.
Yes. So this is exactly what he says. This was the start point of his research, that the interior condition of the researcher or the leader is very, very important to enable a change or a transformation. And he focused on the interior condition. Now, we all know that interior connection, the interior condition is variable. It can go up and down. So there had to be a route or a method in the process, which is what he explained throughout the theory. Yeah. Any questions before I move forward? I've tried to make it as simple as I can to bring the point. Yes, Gopti.
So when you said at the beginning that the main shift that you have personally observed is on an individual level, yet what I'm noticing is that this is pretty much only possible in a group session like this. Is it possible to do this on a one-to-one and bring
Yeah,
about?
very much. When you design a program based on Theory U,
Okay.
like for example, my cohorts are always designed. My 21-day journey, when I did the 21-day journaling journey, it was designed based on Theory U.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, when you go through the U, you will know what is the process. So
Okay.
programs can be designed based on that. And yes, group programs, group visioning. If the team has one goal, then it can be designed based on this. So facilitation can be designed based on this.
How can we incorporate this into a session with a client? I mean, will it take like a process, a period of time? Where is the literature that one can use or protocols that one can follow? Is there something around that?
Yeah, Himani, we have to go through the process first to understand what the process is. Then maybe the answer might come to you. So we have not yet gone into what is the U.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll go through the U first. Yeah. So simply put, this is the U. But before we go to the U, I want you to pick, an area which currently in your life you're curious about, either curious or anxious, perturbed about, anything that holds energy for you at this point of time. And then when we go through it, you can look at how it lives in you. Just pick an area.
I'm not so clear
Explain.
about your instruction.
Sorry?
I said I'm not clear about your instruction. I didn't understand what you want.
So to explain the theory, okay, wait, let me just explain the whole process. So this is the what Otto Scharmer talks about as a theory. There are 3 parts to it. Okay. The left part, you can see my cursor, right? My laser pointer. Yeah. So from downloading to this process is the entry of the you. This process is the presencing or the depth of the you. And this process is coming out of the you. So he says that we in this part of the process, we are in the outer world. We are coming from what we already know as the struggles, as the judgments, as the thoughts, as the feelings, as my narratives, all of that. We come here, we enter the process out here. We are looking and entering with our past patterns for any area of life. For example, if I'm talking about, I want to better my relationship with my son. I'm already entering with my past pattern of, oh, he's 20, he's a teenager. These days, they are all into friends. They are I know certain things about him. Anything can happen. He's not staying with me. He can pick up bad habits, all of those narratives. So I'm entering the you with that process. But what is my intention? My intention is how can I better my relationship with my son? That's the intention. So Otto Scharmer says that if I enter the you process with the intention for a transformation, I need to first suspend my mental models or the past patterns and look at it with fresh eyes. Yeah. So which means that all my judgments have to be dropped. That's the first process. Yeah. Why this process takes time is because that it's a process which is which defies what we already know, or it's a lot of hard work, like learning any process. So I first have to suspend my judgments. Okay. And then I have to redirect my consciousness. Basically, he talks about consciousness to a new way of sensing the field. My field has to be much bigger. What is my vision for the child? What is my vision for my relationship? How connected do I feel, with the child? I need to look at the relationship in a different way. And then I need to say, okay, what am I learning from the situation and what am I needing to let go? When I come till here is when I understand that unless I let go my current narrative with my child, I cannot have a new thing coming. So this whole process is about entering the you in order to let go. Yeah. Now I let go. Then what happens is the deep you process, the deepest part of the you process, which is called presencing. This is the place of stillness, calmness, of withdrawing from the narratives and really allowing the future to emerge. The question is, what really wants to emerge right now? Which I was not listening into, but now I'm listening because I have calmed my mind. Yeah. Now imagine a client sitting in front of you. How often do you say, I sense this? It probably presencing is already happening. Yeah, when you don't respond, what Shri teaches us, no, don't respond, listen, have that pause, have longer pauses, silence, and then something comes to you and present that. That is actually presencing. We are connecting to the source of what wants to come from the future, what wants to emerge. Once that comes, we are taking that and we have let that come and we are going up, which means we are still connecting to the outer world, but we are connecting to a new outer world. This was the already existing outer world. This is connecting deep inside in my inner world. And now this is reconnecting to a new outer world in a very new way. So here he says that you need to crystallize it. What is it that I just received? So sometimes we present it to the client and the client crystallizes it for themselves. Does it mean something or not? And then you prototype it. Prototype money, you actually say that, okay, what does this mean to me and how can I implement it? You're actually prototyping the new idea or the new thought. And then you are actually taking it to the world, installing systems such that that becomes your new reality. So you entered with an intention. You went deep into presencing and silence. and then you're coming out with something new, which you're willing to try, and you're willing to put systems in place to make that happen. This is the you. This is the theory you. It is entering, letting go of that ego self or the current self, dipping into silence, letting yourself to figure out what wants to emerge, letting it come, prototyping, and creating a new reality. Yeah. Simply put, this is the you process. There's nothing more than this. Of course, there are layers and nuances, but this is the you process. Now, for each, I have written down questions. For that, what I've wanted is that if you can bring an area or an intention, which you would want to explore, then I have questions which will enable you to go through every part of the process so that it becomes real and not a theory, really. That is what I was trying to tell Shri. Any questions in this process?
I love
Sudha, you
what
want
you
to
said.
Yeah,
Sorry,
which
just
one?
love what you said, and I'm going to repeat it just so that I get it
Good.
in my head. You're
Yeah.
saying you enter into a process, you let go,
Mm.
right? And then you come to a sense of calmness with an intentionality to create a new prototype, right? Have I got that right?
You enter with the intention, actually.
You enter, yeah. So I really want you to talk a little more about that enter with an intentionality.
Yes, correct. So, for example, let me go back to what we had experienced. So we had so my intentionality with which I had attended, they had created the entire 5-day program based on the theory loop. So my intentionality was what shifts do I want to bring in my inner world. So my intention is that I want to bring shifts in my inner world. So during the process, I had to discover what are the voices or voice of judgments that I have. What is my connection with myself or my disconnection with myself? What are the fragmentations? What new connections am I wanting or what am I seeking really? So that intention is taking me deeper and deeper and deeper into this inquiry until there comes a moment and I say that, okay, I think I've inquired now. Now I want the new to emerge. I'm like open. I operate from that openness to receive. And then there is a process for that opening, which is silence or which is body work, which is anything that allows me for that silence. Okay. And then I have an insight, or I have this vision, or I have images, or I have metaphors. We all get that in our sessions. Yeah. Now that is like a prasad out of this process, or I'm holding that. I'm eager to bring it up to the up so that my life changes. My intentionality becomes a new reality. So then I crystallize my vision. I remember crystallizing it by understanding what are my behaviors that I need to drop. I was operating from a lot of fear and fear about things which I don't need to, because I was imagining I should be in a certain way, but that's not true. I am who I am. I am who I am as a mother. I am who I am as a professional. I am who I am. I have to drop all of that, which means I need to crystallize this insight and crystallize it for myself. And I needed to prototype. So what I did was, from there itself, I made calls. It is called act in an instant. So I had to act in an instant to prototype my insight and my actions. And when I did that, I became confident that I can create a new reality, because already things had shifted. One of the things that emerged to me there was that I want to figure out what is the world of way of education. Because when I got to know about head, heart, and hands, and I got to know it is from anthroposophy, and anthroposophy has its foray in education, that is a system I wanted for my children. My children were young at that point in time. So that was an insight that I want to inquire into it. I came back and honestly, I lost thread. But 2 years later, anthroposophy found me. I found the world of education, and I pulled my children out from a regular ICSE school to a CBSE, to a world of education based school. So sometimes the creation of a new reality takes time, but the thing is that the consciousness has shifted. I couldn't go back to the old. I was irritated with the old system of education because what I saw, I remember in the presencing process, I said, if my children had an education which is so beautiful, then their life will change. Actually, so then I had to prototype it, and then the creation of the reality happened later. But that's how life shifted. Did it answer your question? I couldn't see who asked the question.
Sorry, yes, it did. I was trying to just unmute myself. Yes, it did answer my question. I like what you said about intentionality and how it's a deliberative process, especially when it came to your children.
Yeah.
But my question here would also be that, here you had a process, you had a timeline, or you did not have a timeline, rather, you could follow a process over time. The challenge would be, how does one do that in sessions with clients?
Actually, in a session with a client, every session is a you. Okay, that is how I experience it. Every session, because I feel after every session, for me, it's a wow. So
Yeah, that's what I would say,
so
because you
every
come in with
session
an
is a you.
objective. Yeah,
Yes, correct. Every session is a you.
yeah,
Every
yeah.
session is that when you enter with an intentionality. You ask, what do you
Intentionality.
want you, the agreement basically is where you
Yes.
enter. And then the exploration happens. So
Yeah.
in the exploration, you are looking at old mental models. You are looking
Yeah.
at what needs to emerge. You are bringing in silence. You are bringing in pauses. Presencing is happening. It's just that you may not have articulated it like this. Okay, you may not have said, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And then there is an insight for the client. Sometimes you get the insight, you offer the insight. You offer the insight based on your presence. You offer the insight. A lot of times I offer based on my sensing in my body. Presencing is presence plus sensing. That is what the word means. So from my presence, I sense and I offer. Sometimes from their presence, they sense and they get an insight. And she always says, when you get an insight, get them to actioning. That is what this is. That you've got an insight, you've offered the insight, or they have got an insight, they have articulated the insight. Articulation is crystallization. And then you say, how do you want to bring it? What can go against it? So what can go against or what can support you is the creating process. You are installing rhythms and structures for them to implement what they said they are going to implement, which means you're creating for the prototype to be actually in action and the transformation to occur, which is
So
what is
as
the
a
deep transformation
facilitator,
process.
sorry, just like those words. As a facilitator, we are creating the rhythms and the patterns for the clients to follow so that they can create their own prototypes.
No. As a facilitator, we are asking them what rhythms you want to create for them to follow through. So we are not creating anything.
We are offering them
Yes.
space to create the rhythms that
Yes.
will produce their own prototype.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
That's correct. Which is why, I think when I look at it from the competencies perspective and the flow perspective and what I have been learning and what we do in our MCC journey also, it's exactly this. And the deeper we understand this process, either we understand competencies or the way she teaches, or we understand this, either which ways, this process is happening. Theory U is already being, we are practicing it. The more we shut, the more we listen, the more we sense, the more we offer, the more we create a space for them to sense and, even articulate that, we're helping in them moving up the U so that they're able to create a new reality out there. And then they say coaching has impacted me. So actually, a lot of coaches may say that I'm not sure if my coaching is working or not. If we follow this process, coaching will work. It will create its impact. It will create the impact that the client wants, because we are a facilitator.
Absolutely. So my next question to you, sorry, am I bombing the questioning? But please go ahead if anybody else has.
No.
My question is this is something as an academic, I have always wondered on this. So what you said aligns beautifully with what the ICF says, right? And especially as an MCC coach. I've always wondered if there is some kind of theoretical framework outside. And I did miss the first 15 minutes, so I could have missed out on this, that we can theoretically align what we do with.
This is the framework.
Okay.
This
This
is
is
the
the-
framework.
So
So
also,
ICF competencies has a framework.
Yeah,
Each
absolutely.
of the competencies can be, there is a correlation between what we do there and here. See, if you see, you enter with the intentionality is outside the downloading. When the client comes, they share their stories. And we say, don't get stuck with the stories, because they airtime, we have 1 hour. And if they say stuck in the stories, then we are not going to take them to where they want. So we ask them actually what you want to reflect on. If a client says, I just want to talk about my stories, that is their intentionality. So, and then you go through this process, and if they are getting stuck in an old narrative, your questions can be based on seeing a new reality. What are the judgments in play? I will just go a little further and I'll tell you the barriers to this process. If you know the barriers to this process, you will be able to also see what questions you can bring in. Yes, Shri.
So, Deepa, so Himani, I'm not sure whether you have seen the document I posted in the group a couple of weeks ago. I have mapped the MCC level competencies to the theory you process the way that I have understood. And of course, with Deepa's input, I have modified, and the final document is there in the WhatsApp group. If you don't have it, I'll send that to you.
Yeah,
Himani?
thanks, Shrikant. I haven't had the opportunity. Sorry,
Yeah, it's
been
already there.
busy with being a
Yeah.
grandmother for a few weeks. But
Yeah, it's
yes,
already
I
there.
will definitely. My question was really a little larger because I'm wondering if there are other social psychological theories outside, because I hear how beautifully this aligns to the MCC competencies, and and I'm just wondering where Deepa has had this from. Where is this coming from? Where is the source of this? Because it's beautiful to be able to say that there is an academic framework outside also.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah.
really what my
Actually,
question was.
if you read the book, the book is fantastic. It's just that I have not
Okay.
been able to finish reading the book.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, so my recommendation, Himani, is when Otto Scharmer wrote the first book, it was about 500 pages with a lot of numbers and statistics and research and tables and all of that. If you get out of that book as an academician, you may
you'll
enjoy it.
Yes.
Normal people may not enjoy, but there's a second version that he has done. That is for people like me. It's a great book if you can get hold of it and read it.
I think I'm going to try at least one of the
Yes.
two versions.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the
Because-
other thing is, Himani,
Yeah.
for each of these processes, even the sub-process, you can use processes from other disciplines. Like you can use it from psychology, you can use from spirituality. Like how do you suspend? How do you suspend? Is it
I
hearing
hear you,
itself?
completely hear you. I'm a practitioner
Yeah.
of transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
So what you speak,
transcendental meditation is a technique you can use for the left and presencing. You can use that method, especially for
Yeah.
presencing. Transcendental meditation is brilliant.
See, even
Visualization
that
is
part where you say that you have to let it come
Yeah.
to create. I mean, literally, that's what one
Yeah.
does in meditation every time.
Yes.
You
Correct.
have to just let the emotions come.
Correct.
You
Correct.
have to embrace them.
Correct.
You actually reach. Because I'm a practitioner myself, so
Correct.
I'm literally just reading through what you've said. You have to
Yes.
suspend. You
Yes.
have to sense. Then you have to
Yes.
be present in yourself
Yes.
to go on to crystallizing and
Yes.
prototyping. So it
This
works
is a
beautifully.
mindfulness process.
It's the
actually.
mindfulness. Yes,
This is
absolutely.
that's why he says it is really, I mean, he's made it so beautifully, leadership, strategic, this, that. But actually it's a mindfulness and a consciousness shift process. So meditation, all the mindfulness theories work here brilliantly. And each of them, I'll go further and then you will be able to know each of them have layers. And for each of them, we can apply processes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure whether should we go into the experiential team. What would you wish? Or do I go with the concept? I have both.
I would
Options.
love to talk about the concept first, just to get more foundational understanding.
Yeah, I'm
but
just asking.
absolutely up to
Yeah, I'm just
everyone.
asking the group.
Yeah, Deepa, I would like to experience because I feel concept is something Shri has also shared. I could read, but this experience with you would be memorable.
Sure. So let's do this small bit. Pick an area in your life where you're curious about. You have an intentionality, or there's a struggle, or you've been reflecting on. Just pick that, and then we'll go through each of these processes. It can just be curious also. Doesn't need to be anything deep. We have something. Can't see everyone. Okay. Thanks, Shri and Sudha, for your nods. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Goldie. Yeah. So now let's enter the process by asking this first question with respect to what you have picked. Yes, Rolly, you have a topic. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay. So, in this area that I have picked, where am I downloading? When I'm saying downloading, where am I operating from my past patterns? Or am I really observing this intention? And whatever comes to you as a process, just write it down. Write it down to reflect, whatever, whichever method you want. Yes, Neha.
When you say downloading, where
Yeah.
am I downloading? I don't know how to.
For the area that you have picked? In that area. Yeah.
Right.
So am I operating from already known patterns of thought, of emotion, of narrative? Or am I truly observing and I'm curious about this intentionality? That is what downloading means. Downloading means I already have a set thought and I'm just trying to solve the problem, because you remember what we said, that the consciousness has to be different. For the consciousness to change, I need to know which consciousness am I operating from right now. That's what we are trying.
If I may add, and please correct me if I've got this right, what you're really saying, I mean, and let me know if this is right. I'm just putting forward a premise. What you're saying is it's the a priori and the priori knowledge. So we come to something with a priori, which is the knowledge that we have from earlier, right? And we amass it and we hold on to it, sometimes incorrectly, sometimes correctly. For that to change, we need to sense new things and eventually come to a priori knowledge.
We have to sensing comes a little later. This is about recalling.
Yeah, a priori is what we can recall. That's like a muscle memory. So if it's literally like learning a new concept.
Yeah.
When we are learning a new concept, what happens is what we already know comes into play.
Yeah.
So when I have come into this group,
Yeah.
my ICF
Yeah.
concepts and
Yeah.
benchmarks
Yeah.
have already come into play.
Yeah.
And I'm building on that. Whatever else I'm building becomes priori.
Yeah. So right now we're just recalling. So now, when you write down what you are recalling, just look at the consciousness that exists in what you have recalled. Yeah. And then go to the next question. What's really going on here? What emotions are going on? What thoughts are going on? What narratives are going on? And the next question is, what does the system want to become? When I'm saying system, the system between, if let's say it's about relationship, the system is between you and that relationship. If it's with a client, you and the client, what you are actually getting a sense of what could be the highest potential opportunity if this problem or this thing is looked at from a fresh pair of eyes, or if it is resolved. What does it want to become? What could be the highest possibility? What's your sense? So now you are entering the sense. And this is a feeling you may not know in reality.
So, for example, the word that is coming to me is clarity.
Okay.
So, clarity is a sense I will get if I'm able to figure this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And to get this, to get that clarity, what you have written as downloading, or what's going on here, what is the connection between this clarity and that? What needs to let go? What needs to go for you to really step into that clarity? Because as you come closer down to the you, there is that process of letting go that needs to happen. You're trying to see if you're holding on to the downloading patterns.
So,
and you
fear
don't
is
let
the
go.
answer.
Okay, fear
Fear.
needs to let go. Yes, yes. Okay, what else needs to what else needs to go? If there is anything else, could be a narrative, could be patterns of thought, could be patterns of disconnection, patterns of inner and outer fragmentation, could be patterns of could be even sticking to your values and not letting go of those values. Could be the positive as well. Yes, Sudha.
Yeah. So when you say what the system wants to begin, for me, it is more like a feeling, like from the current
Yes.
state of feeling to, what I want to be feeling. So that's also the
That's also
system.
good. That's
Yeah.
yes, that's also because when you know that, you're going with entering with that into the presence. That's good. That's good enough.
Deepa, I'm
Yes,
sensing
Gul.
that perhaps
Yes, Gul.
it's also a bit like a certain value is not serving in this particular
Yes.
situation, so I have to dial it down.
Yes.
If
Yes.
I
And that also is being
Yeah.
asked of you. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was telling Sri. Yeah, Sri. So that value system maybe could be a stuck pattern. Could be. I don't know, but it could be so and not serving. And now I invite you to just pause and either you can close your eyes, whichever way you want. What's emerging in me right now with respect to what I entered the you with? Just receive whatever, it could be image, could be word, could be anything. What's emerging in me right now with respect to what I entered with, the intentionality.
I have a question. Before something emerges, what are the kind of questions that we can ask for that deeper level to emerge?
No question, silence.
Silence. Okay.
The precondition is silence.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
It is transcendence, actually.
Okay. Yes, then that makes sense. But if you were
And-
doing it in a group session, Deepa, sorry, please carry on. Anyway, so let me just put it there. If you were doing it in a group setting, would you then just ask people to go into silence?
No, I design it. It's a. So the first, the left side of the U will be thinking oriented. And after that, there'll be some processes that I would design to take them into the process of silence. So working with the body, working with hands, working with clay, working with different materials to be able to shut the process of, I'll share with you one of the assignment that I did, and that will clarify. We'll
Thank
take it
you.
a little later. Yeah. So what next is, what am I being called to do? From whatever has emerged, what am I being called to do? Or called to reflect, called to do means what's the next step times? The next is just one small, bold step I can take. Small step, act in an instant. And finally, to make this happen, what systems or rituals or routines I can install to enable this to happen, or it to be a way of life? And now as you reflect on this process, we went through it's a very quick thing, okay? I mean, it's just an experience, a taster. It takes a lot more time. But what are you staying with about your understanding about this process? Or your experience? Yes, Bertie.
So I've obviously done the exercise with you, and honestly, for me, it came as a really good exercise to do with my own self.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
before trying it with a client or
Yeah, absolutely.
for a facilitation, it just seems like a really clean journaling almost exercise. Or in my case, I just talk to myself. And answering these questions out loudly gave me that sort of not solution, but some sort of opening into something new.
Yes. And that's exactly what happens. So it's not a solution, but it's a foray into a new reality, into a new consciousness. Yeah. So it's not like 1, 2, 3 action steps that also may come, but then you have the capacity to create it into action steps later. So one bold step is clearly a very specific action. When I do a workshop, I make them do it then and there. Half an hour, they have to take the action, come back and report. Because the new reality has to be their reality. It cannot be a reality in their head. And they take the action. And they have to report it back. Yes, Neha.
Yes.
Yes, Sudha.
Yeah.
Sorry. Whoever.
Neha, go ahead.
Okay, so Deepa, I'm just curious because if we look at our MCC framework, there's a lot of focus on being rather than doing.
Yeah.
And this whole theory, U ends with action.
Yeah.
So there is a little conflict within me that at the
Yeah.
end, are we exiting with something to do, or is it something we'd want to be, or helping the client to be? So if you can clarify that, that'll be
yeah,
useful.
sure. So we enter the process with what you want to achieve. And later on, the whole focus is on shift in the being. From the shift in the being, what do you want to do to create a new reality? So when they do create a new reality, their consciousness has shifted. The being has shifted. They are never the person who has come into the workshop, who had entered the workshop or who have come into the session. The being has changed because it's and especially transcendence or the presencing process enables that. Because when all parties are silent, there is so much of creation possible where the doing can be either I need to step out of a relationship, or like, for example, I'll give you there was this program called Career Lab. When I did that, I created the same program in Bangalore in my organization. I was working for the Aditya Birla Group. So it was called Career Lab. It was for those people who have spent at least 7 to 11 years. So which is managers to general managers plus director level, who are going through a midlife and mid-career crisis to go through this process. Okay, so we started with the theory, the left process, 1.5, 2 days of that. It was a 3.5 day process. 1.5, 2 days of that. The third day, we get into the presencing, the you. The last day, we go into the upper process. So we have spent so much time in the left side that they know their patterns. They have processed their patterns. They have understood why they have behaved the way they have behaved. Their letting go actually will automatically happen. Because we would tell them, okay, what is the shifting process also? So they have shifted. The presencing has happened. And now on the last day, I asked them to do a visioning. The visioning is coming from completely a visualization process. It is truly transcendental. There is nothing of their reality. And then what I'm telling them is I have given them a lot of miniature. I use the concept of, play therapy coming from Jung's therapy process. So I've given them a lot of miniature toys to be able to create what they saw in the vision as a new reality on paper. So it's a 3D reality that they create. And when they see that, and when they come back to senses, they say, I don't even know what it means. And then they're sitting there and writing, okay, what it could be meaning. They have no idea. It's completely from presencing and emergence. They have no idea. Now they're writing, and then we're saying act in an instant. So from whatever they're seeing, they are acting in an instant. And you will not believe it. Like, I have seen people shift from the managers having BEE, did not meet DME. It's called did not meet expectation. They left the company because they are supposed to be a teacher, and that is what came in the presencing process. So she left, and later on thanked me. And the organization was ready because they did not want an employee who was disengaged to be continuing in the organization. So it did service to everyone. The other one left and became a farmer. So, Shree's ACC cohort, when I met, what's his name? The one who became a farmer, Shree?
Ravi Kuke.
Ravi. When I heard him, I actually remembered this employee who actually left to become a farmer in the interiors of his hometown, somewhere in the north. So this is what presencing can do, which is beyond my understanding also how it happens. But it always happens like that. If we go through the process and give time, to that process.
Thanks for that, Deepa. I have done these
One
as
minute.
sessions.
Sudha had a
Sorry,
question.
carry
Himani,
on
I'll
because I
come back.
can't see if somebody else's hand is up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sudha
I
wanted to
was,
share.
yeah. I was actually resonating with what Goldie was saying. While this was a short experience, Deepa, I can imagine the depth this can have had we gone through the process, and especially the presencing part, where we can just be with the silence. If you remember, I wrote my purpose today was to reconnect with Theory U and deepen my understanding. I think that's what happened for me, even in this short time. It was almost like how Goldie said, right? This is also a great process for you to self-coach yourself.
Correct.
You know, while you can do it for others, I think this is so effective just to do it for yourself. A moment for you to just connect with yourself, moment for you to, cut from the noise of what you already know, and, and just to be there to welcome what could be there for you.
Yes.
Because I felt, in that moment, when we don't do this like this, when you don't enter the you, when you're still there, it's a lot of noise, and that will not help you to connect with what's possible for you, or what
That's
needs
correct.
to emerge, or what needs to be
Yes.
allowed.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the stuckness. That's how I experienced it.
Yes.
And that's the stuckness. So when you just allow yourself to get into the process, like, these questions were so beautiful. So it just helped you to, deeper and deeper,
Yeah.
connect with it. And then while I would have liked the time to go from the depth of the presencing to this, especially when you said, you'd use play therapy, or you give people clay and then you ask them to do activities. I can just imagine how your unconscious would be at
That's it.
work, and
That's
how that would actually create that space for allowance
That's
and
it.
disconnecting from what you already know.
Yes.
That,
Absolutely.
so it was
Absolutely.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. And that's why I always, as a practitioner, I have my miniature toys always there. I have my tray there, and then I have my art material. It's all here. So that when I want to go into the heal process, when I'm stuck, I immediately go do it, come out. It doesn't take me time.
Yeah.
Because
I-
it's easy, like exactly what you said.
Mm.
So हम लोग भी ना, if we can keep some clay at home, wherever we are, clay is so potent that what you need to do is, if you want to go into the process, you don't need to create anything out of clay. Take a piece of clay, keep rolling, just do this. Your unconscious is at work. Just this much is enough. Your unconscious is at work, and then you'll start talking. This is transcendental meditation using clay. This is the power. And if you have real mud clay, it is much better than Play-Doh. Yes,
If I may ask the question, which I hear you completely, this is transcendental, and I work with young adults and educators. So I've tried this. The art therapy really works well.
Okay.
What I did want to ask you is one question that I get asked all the time. How do we know that the first thought that comes to mind is what we need to follow? How do we take that bold step, putting it in the words that you used?
Okay. Why do you need to know?
Okay.
That's one question.
Because, a lot of people are scared to take that first step.
Yeah,
And while they
correct.
work with therapy, art, clay,
Correct,
all that
correct,
works beautifully.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
hear that part because
Yeah.
I know Sudha also touched upon it. How do we know that is the right step? If he
Take it
wants to become a
anyways.
farmer,
Take the step, and then come back. Then you enter the you again. And then go through it. And the other thing is, see, Himani, you're asking a question from not silence, but from the head. Because somebody who's gone through the process, this question will not come. They will just know because the being has shifted. And the question will not come. So if your client is asking you the question, you may have to take them back to the you process and silence. And
that's
from
lovely.
that silence, whatever answer comes is the answer that has showed up for that consciousness at that point in time.
Mhm. Sometimes I think how these group sessions really work so powerfully is giving us words that, we need at times to explain processes that we've kind of missed out on.
Yeah.
So thank you. That
Yeah.
helps.
Sure. And I want to also share, okay, levels of listening is again very deep. I don't think we have the time, but I just want to share that these three things is what we did. We observed the current reality. We allowed the inner knowing to come, and then we acted in an instant. So this is the three-step process of theory. And act in an instant anyway. Even if you feel it is wrong, act. Because what I've seen is that in that moment, what comes, it just feels so right. If it is coming from an inner knowing process. Yeah. And that is what I wanted to tell about Career Lab, because everybody who came, their life shifted. Because these are the two people who did drastically different things. Some other people just did what they were doing, but with a different level of consciousness. That's what happened to others. So these two left, but others were there. And the other thing that I wanted to, connecting with what Sudha said, there are three enemies that prevent presencing. Yeah. And I wanted to bring these three. So, and also connecting with what I think Himani asks. So there are three enemies, and these are called voice of judgment. VOJ is voice of judgment. Okay. I judge myself. I judge the system. I stop flow. Okay. I judge, and the judgment comes from a past norm. So this is the first enemy. The second enemy is VOC, which is voice of cynicism. Oh, this person is like that only. The system is like that only. Government is like that only. Modi is like that only. Airlines is like that only. Cathay Pacific is like that only. So when there is a VOC, which is cynicism, you are cutting the process of intimacy and a connection. So Otto says that VOC cuts connection, and that's going to cut the process. So pay attention to where are you severing your ties with what you want as an intention. Okay, and pay attention to that. And the third is VOF, which is what Himani you said, voice of fear. So if the person fears, is it the right thing to do? That means they have not entered the U. They are still in the VOF, which is voice of fear, which means they have to go back and do the process again. Okay, which means you as a facilitator have to lead the process for them. And we also go through that. I mean, not always we act in an instant, because we also have fear. So when I have fear, I go back and journal further, like Sudha and Goldie said. We journal, and I journal more, and I figure where is this fear coming from and what is this fear. And then the next process here is to convert them into spaces. So voices limit, spaces liberate. So convert the voice of judgment into space of openness. So VOJ converts to SOO, space of openness. And I'll tell you how I implemented this. Voice of cynicism converts to space of hope. I'm hoping that this airline is on time this time, rather than saying this airline is always late. And voice of fear converts to space of courage. So the moment you have courage, you can let go and allow. So as I'm reading this myself, I'm thinking of my bungee jumping experience and the response I gave you, Sudha. Now it makes sense. So the moment this is converted, and actually this is a minute-to-minute process. It is not, I will do it later. So what I generally do with clients, and what I did in that workshop, also Career Lab, is I asked them to write their entire biography as if it was a story. And on the left, side, if 2 pages, one side is voices and one side is spaces. So every biography has got voices and spaces. And normally they are patterns. So ask them to make patterns out of their voices and see what are the corresponding spaces that they can convert to. So what happens is then they get the idea that, oh, these are the voices, it's going to pull me down later also. Even they go through the U, the same voice is going to pull me down. My voice, my biggest voice is voice of fear. It is not cynicism. First is voice of fear and voice of judgment for me. So like that, we have pets, pet voices and pet spaces. And I have space of hope, which is very, very. So the moment you know that these voices come and you know your pet voices, it's a every minute thing to keep converting into spaces so that you can go into the presencing. Otherwise, these voices really stop us from going into the presencing process. And if you don't go into the presencing process in the right way, you can't crystallize, you can't prototype. You will go back to voice of fear. So Himani, that's the answer. Long answer to that question.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It does make it much clearer. I was just reflecting on the voice of judgment, the space of openness, the voice of cynicism, the space of hope, the voice of fear, and the space of clarity, right?
Courage.
Courage. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Is it clarity or I don't know where I got
Courage.
lost on it. Okay,
No.
thank you. This really is beautiful and very powerful.
So the moment you he doesn't talk about these spaces. He talks about only voices, but the spaces are my ways to. It's a simple process, Otherwise, I can't get my head around. Okay, I understood voice. What will I do with it? He only talks about VOC, VOF, and VOJ. And the moment you have the space of courage, and as you go down, you are allowing. Actually, you're allowing. When you allow, there is no resistance. And when there's no resistance and there is silence, new can come. You're literally like that vessel, which can hold anything that can come into the vessel. Anything. Yes, Shri.
I'm doing a quick time check.
I know.
So what I want to let others know is, in case you are not able to complete this theory session today, we can always schedule more time to cover the remaining. Yeah, I have a hard stop. 5 minutes. Yeah.
You want to know if this is being recorded and we can access it again? Because
yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. Transformation occurs when voices are converted to spaces. And my experience has been that we are wired to keep going back to voices. It is so. So it's a constant process to keep converting it into spaces. And I've also seen that the pet voices remain, how much ever we try. So we just have that awareness, and then we keep converting and move forward anyways. So we allow. This was my last, I think. Yeah, okay, I have to tell you these. This is the last one. He also says that there are 2 core questions, that we ask in the presencing process, which is this: who is myself and what is my real work? And when he says who is myself, what is my authentic essence? Who is the real me? If I didn't have voices, then who am I? I'm pure consciousness. So, but each one has a definition. So in the presencing, that is where we answer from. So therefore, the resistance is very less, because we are going into the process from a very pure space. And the other thing in the source is, what is my real work, which is what is my real contribution? What am I born for? So if if we are coming from that pure consciousness, because I have silenced the voices, what emerges is so pure. That is why when they come into consciousness, they're unable to relate, because all the voices keep coming back, but they have sensed something so pure. Have you seen that when you mirror something to your clients, they take some time to stay with it, because it has come from a space of your real authentic essence or their real authentic essence. It is coming from there. And you also don't know where it came from. They also don't know where it came from. But it has come. Or you've created a group program, or you've created a facilitation experience, and it has just emerged. It has come because you operated from that real contribution, or your real purpose, and your real essence. So he says that when we operate from these two questions, you are in the present. So you sometimes don't have to even go through all of this. You can just dip into that. Matlab, you can actually sit in a day, on a normal day. I experience this when I light the lamp. Like I have this is an Akhanda diya. It is lit all the time. So when I light this lamp, all the time, I am in presencing. I figured this is my methodology. Like we can all have different methods, but this is my method. That I am connecting to my deepest authentic essence when this light is there. And when I'm away from from here, when I'm traveling, this is there in my inner, because I'm seeing it every single moment here. So it lives here. But this is my. Everyone can have different ways. Some people tune into the body. Or some people tune into something else, it could be energy, it could be palms, it could be anything. Yeah, I'm not sure what all I
So
did a
you're
first one.
saying we identify a space within us where we have reached after a travel to the voices of cynicism, to the space of courage. And that becomes our guiding light. Sorry, using Shrikant's light of lamp or guiding light.
Yeah, that is not just for theory you. That's in general for anybody who is traveling the journey, an inner journey. That's how I feel. But it helps. It helps in this process.
I hear you. Thank you. This was fun.
So Deepa, we'll have to
we
pause the
have 4
session.
minutes. Yes.
I'll have to jump in another call. So as I mentioned already, if this is not complete, I'm sure this is not complete. I know there's much more to theory.
Yeah.
We can always
We can
schedule
schedule.
another.
I'm open. Definitely we can schedule.
Or we can check in the group
Sunita,
and we can.
space of voice of judgment is space of openness. Yeah, just before we close, just one word of how you're feeling right now.
Expansive.
Sorry?
Expansive.
Expansive.
Yeah. I was to say expansive and connected.
I'm actually feeling exhilarated. I don't know for what. I don't know. It's like I'm on this roller coaster and bazaar hai. Yay, types.
Let's definitely have one more, Deepa.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, there are certain things that I had to, fast forward, but I think it needs this time. Definitely. I'll coordinate with Shri and then we can do it. Yeah. Thanks, Aditya. Thanks, Maru.
Thank you,
Sunny.
Deepa. Look forward to the
Thanks,
next
Neha.
session.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you, Deepa. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, Shri. We let you go to jump to the other session.
Thank you for the
Deepa.
permission.
Yeah.